Okay, as promised, my SAN, Survival Adventure Network, cold weather breakdown review. I made some notes here, so if I'm looking down at all, just so you know, I've got my notebook over here. Pull the chair up, at least get into the intro here. I'm sitting off to the side. I've got the things that live in my cars. I've got two setups almost identical to this, one in each car. So I want to talk briefly about the scenario, or about the experience. No matter what I say coming up, no matter how heated I get, most of that is probably in response to somebody's comments. I had an amazing experience. I learned a lot. Really great people to work with, not just the people in the scenario, Bobby, Josh, and James, but also Dave and Tony and Iris and Jeremy were great. Taught me a lot. I really appreciate them, the things that they've done, opening up their school, their homes, their lives, and taking time where they're not getting paid either to be there, to allow us to come down there for free and learn and hopefully teach everybody out there something. So as you saw in the beginning, the scenario unfolded. We were taken to a vacant strip of road and told, your car's broken down, it's your daily driver, you can't tear the car apart because you are going to use it again. Hopefully, you know, a can of gas or a jump start or something's going to come along and help you get going down the road again. So you're not going to rip your car apart, you're not going to take things out of the car. I'll come back to that later because there are some things in most cars that you would be able to take out without hurting the car. So we were given, 30 minutes or so to walk down either side of the road and collect what we could. You saw in the video we found tons of containers, a lot of randomness that we couldn't use that we brought back with us. I was really grateful for the things that we found. They were all useful, and they were all things that you could find laying alongside of the road. So then we moved back to the schoolhouse, where we moved to the top of a hill. Now the premise here, and there were a lot of comments made about signaling and leaving the car and things like that. And Dave points out a great point that, you know, that car becomes an ice box, and if you stay in with the windows rolled up and body heat's in there, then it's gonna create some condensation, and now you're gonna have moisture and dampness, and now you're cold and wet inside a non-running car that turns into an ice box when it's 3 degrees outside, which with wind chills on night number 2, -3 is what we were dealing with. So we left the car. Now, in the scenario, in the videos you don't see, and I think I talked about briefly, we leave signal in the car. So yes, we left the car, but we left a note, we left the hood up, and we headed to the top of a hill where we could still see the car and see the road for signals. They didn't show very well, but we established 3 signal fires equidistant apart, one of them with a big tire around it so that it would blow black smoke. We also hung a big bright flag. We had some pink pants or something that we cut a leg off of and hung up in a tree to make a flag. So we had signals in place, we had notes in place with the car. So those things that people addressed and yelled at us for, we took care of it, it just didn't get shown in the video. There were a lot of comments about people working harder than others. There were a lot of comments about how the guys looked like they sat there and did nothing. And yeah, I got really defensive about it because most of that is video editing. There was a division of efforts. From the word go, Josh went to look for water, Bobby and James were looking for a shelter site, and I went and built 3 signal fires so they were ready to go when we had fire going. There was, at night, a quote, work-rest plan, where a certain number of people would be up, certain number of people would be down. During the day, you almost have to implement that as well, because what ends up happening is exactly what we saw happen to Bobby. Bobby busted her butt. I won't deny that in any way, shape, or form. Other people were working too. But Bobby got to the point where she worked so hard that she continually sweated. And that sweat made her get cold, and that cold is what forced her eventually to have to go get some help. There was no harm in asking for help. Bobby tried to stick it out, and I actually applaud her for going to get the help that she needed to get warm. Josh and I were not even wearing our full layers, and we're warm. And a lot of that is because we didn't work so hard to sweat, and we're still able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish. Work smarter, not harder is a big play, and taking your time, starting in closer to where you are to bring firewood in, and then branching out is not the right way to do it. While you've got energy, you start far away, bring firewood in, and then when you get more and more tired, you're moving more and more slow, then the firewood that's closer to you is what you've got to work with. What you missed in there is when we got to the last day, or the last night where we were looking for all the firewood we could find, we actually pulled nails out of the fence row and brought the fence posts in and burned those off because they were the closest dry wood that we could get a hold of. So you have to implement some kind of work-rest plan, and you have to control how fast and how hard you are working, or else you will sweat, you will get dehydrated, you will get cold in a cold weather environment like that. And that's why you may have seen some of us not pushing as hard as others real early on, because we didn't want to sweat as hard and didn't want to get cold. There were a lot of group meetings where there were discussions had about what we needed to do next, what had to be done, and then the division of efforts came. And people would volunteer for what they wanted to do. And Bobby continuously volunteered to bring firewood or to do hard jobs. So it's not to say that people weren't willing to do other work. Bobby wanted to do it. It's another great reason to applaud her. She really worked hard. But it doesn't take away from the things the other people did. While Bobby was gathering firewood, that shelter didn't magically appear. Everybody seemed to overlook that. No, it wasn't a great shelter. We all learned from it. That's what we were there for, and hopefully you guys did too. There were some comments made about boiling or not boiling water, putting boiled water into non-clean containers, and collection of water. There was some frustration when it snowed that people were still running down to the spring to get water. I mean, I was there, somebody said I'm going to get water, and it may not be on camera, but we all said, why? There's snow right here. And we did collect snow, and we did melt snow for water. Boiling water was a comfort for some people. One of the biggest things in a group dynamic that I accepted when I got there was to make other people comfortable. I was going to have to do things that I didn't necessarily agree with. And boiling water was something that made some people more comfortable. So if they wanted to boil it, let them boil it. It's perfect. Dumping that boiling water into non-clean containers. If the water's sterile and it's boiling hot and you pour it into a non-sterile container while it's still boiling hot, you're going to kill almost everything in that container. That container is pretty darn near sterile at that point. I'm going to leave it at that. Food and hunger. We collected some onions. Some people ate some of those. We had a bag combos, a 5-pack of gum. We drank a ton of pine needle tea. When James got his headache, we force-fed him pine needle and poplar bark tea, trying to help with his headache. He was the first one in the middle of the night, decided he was hungry enough that he got into the combos. The question came up, how are you going to deal with hunger on day one? I was asked that by, I think Jeremy asked me. And my response was pretty simple. I'm not going to get hungry. Hunger is a mental game for probably 72 hours, in my opinion. I've been there, I'm not eating for long periods of time due to my work. Yes, I'm in the military. Yes, it's a desk job now. It wasn't always. So you just put it out of your head and don't get hungry. It's that simple. Day 2, sometime in the middle of the day Saturday, Josh and I were beat and we broke into our combos and we wolfed down what was our share. And then we started splitting up those sticks of gum, and we were eating half a stick of gum at a time to get the sugar. So you can combat hunger pretty simply. In the shelter design, I learned a lot about lean-to shelters. In the military, we don't build shelters like that. We don't have campfires. You carry a 9-pound sleep system because it's warm enough to be in a situation like that without a shelter and without a fire. That's why you carry that extra weight, because you can't have a fire. So we don't build shelters like that. You build a poncho hooch to keep the rain off of you, and you crawl inside your sleeping bag. That's all there is to it. A lean-to shelter like that, I learned, needed to be no higher than waist high. And as you get colder, you can actually make it lower to the ground to conserve more of the heat. Reading your comments, I learned a lot more about different ways to keep that heat in. Shelter direction, yeah, I screwed the pooch on that. I'll own it. I was trying to get some late-day sun to hold some heat, because early in the morning you're not going to get heat fast enough. I wanted to get some heat in there from the late-day sun. Wind direction was not a factor that I really played into it, mainly because extremely cold winds in east central Illinois are going to be a north-northeast wind, and warmer winds are south-southwest winds. So I positioned that shelter facing west-southwest, thinking of a warmer wind direction, and just screwed the pooch. I got it. I've learned from it. North-northwest, due west, better shelter direction. I'll remember it from now on. it was way too big. There were 3 of us going to be in it at a time at most likely only 2 at a time. We could have built a much, much smaller shelter. Much smaller, much lower to the ground, and in turn used much less firewood. I got it. We bonded as a group from the very minute we got there. We got to know each other pretty quickly. We kind of learned some buttons to push to drive people along. Josh and I have actually become pretty fast friends. We're going out this weekend. Actually, I'm packing up now. He and I are going to go down and hit some caves in Shawnee National Forest. We've stayed in touch online. Great people to work with, good friends to have, and a lot of lessons to be learned there. And everybody offered something. Don't think that just from what you saw on the videos, that's all that occurred. There were a lot of conversations. There was a lot of pushing each other. There was a lot there to offer from everybody in the group. Mental preparation going into any scenario can be huge. You have to get yourself into a mindset for anything that you can look at positive sides of any scenario. I was continually looking at the knowledge I was taking away. I felt like I was getting picked on at times because there were decisions that I had made to do that nobody corrected me on, that they knew better until after they were done. And I'm not just talking cadre, I'm talking members of the group. Somebody else in the group, well, a perfect example is the fleece robe and the jacket. I was more concerned about rain than I was about really staying warm. I thought with 4 people in a blanket, we could really do some things to keep warm. So I wanted to make sure I channeled the rain away from us. And that is why a really lightweight fleece robe got put on top of the shelter, because it will catch moisture and it will channel it. And same with that very, very small brown jacket. It would have channeled moisture away from the people sitting under it. The 3 other people there were there when I did it, helped me bury them in leaves, and could have very easily said, not a good idea, let's pull it out. I've learned from that too. I pulled it out without getting any leaves out from underneath it, without destroying the shelter. I was able to get them out. You know what? They didn't get used. Nobody wrapped up in them. They got used for the litter, which I could have made from something else, and the fleece got used as part of the roof, which could have been made from more leaf litter and stuff. They never got used as a blanket. But, you know, those were things that going into it, I didn't realize I was going to get, I don't want to say torn apart, but, you know, Dave let me know that I messed up. And if I didn't go into it knowing that I needed to maintain a positive attitude and knowing how to do that for myself, I could have very quickly downgraded my attitude and very quickly spiraled downward and not pushed forward. And it could have been me leaving, not James, if I hadn't been able to keep a good positive attitude. Clothing, somebody asked what everybody was wearing. It sounds like I was bulked way up, but I'll tell you, I tried all this on at home, and you're going to laugh and you're going to say nobody dresses like that when they go anywhere, but I'll talk about that too when I get into my kit. I wore a pair of silk weight military long underwear pants, a pair of 85% merino wool socks, a pair of wool military surplus trousers, Swedish military surplus trousers, and a pair of Kakadu oilcloth pants, rain pants. And then my upper layer, I wore a Under Armour Cold Gear long sleeve shirt, mock turtleneck, an Under Armour t-shirt over that, another wool sweater, very, very lightweight Swedish wool navy, I think, or Swiss wool, one or the other, navy sweater, and then a brown, super lightweight wind jacket, and then a 350 fill Primaloft jacket, and then a Columbia waterproof ski jacket. I brought and had on a pair of fleece gloves, and then the military mittens over the top of those, and then mitten shells over the top of those, and then a turtle fur, which is a wool beanie cap with a fleece liner around the ears, and then I had a baseball cap. It's a multicam baseball cap with my Major League Infidel, which I'm awful proud of, patch on the front. I wore a pair of 1,200 gram thin slate boots, which trying to keep warm. If you look at those videos and think we were nice and toasty, you need to look at my boots now. They were right by the fire and the soles have burned off of them. So we kept warm every way possible, and I spent a lot of time laying by the fire at night to keep warm. So it was the place to be. So, but even with all those clothing on, you can see in the opening, I am not bulked up so big I can't move. I am layered very well. I was extremely comfortable, and I could strip down layer by layer by layer and then re-layer if I needed to in a different order if it got really, really warm. Or I could layer back up and get extremely warm with my clothing if it got extremely cold outside. So layering is a huge deal, and using the right layers are a big deal. So a lot of comments were made about kits and cars and not having anything, and some things you can take out of the car. We didn't take anything else out of the car other than what was in the bucket. But my car, my things, my Honda, I've got the wooden layer that covers the spare tire. The carpet in the trunk comes out. Boom, I've got part of my shelter done with a roof, and I've got an extra blanket. My Durango has a wooden layer, or a plastic layer that covers a compartment in the back end. The carpet doesn't come out very easily, but some of the plastic snaps out without being damaged. Again, more shelter pieces. Anything you can take out without damaging becomes a tool. We didn't do any of that and didn't have any of those things at our disposal. Now, I travel a lot for work, and I work in a uniform every day. So I carry two things on me every day. One is a decent fixed blade knife. This is a Rat 3, and you'll see a video that I'll post at some point where I've epoxied a mag bar on the front and a ferro rod on the side. And I carry a Leatherman Super Tool on my hip also. Two things I've always got on me. Then there is a kit bag for clothing, because I do work in a uniform, and if I have to go out after work, I don't want to be in that uniform out at a club or bar or dinner with my wife. So I've got a nice civilian beanie cap, and then this bag is just packed with extra clothes. So if I had to layer up in my uniform, I've got a soft shell waterproof jacket. I've got a fleece liner. I've got an extra pair of boots. I've got a polypropylene lightweight top. Got a pair of fleece gloves. Shirt with a collar. Like I said, out to dinner with my wife. A pair of lightweight hiking style pants. Another t-shirt. Pair of long underwear. A belt. And there's actually another hat inside the bag. So I've got a complete change of extra clothes always in the car. Does everybody need to do that? Probably not. Your job probably doesn't require you to wear a uniform every day for many, many people. So, but is it a good idea? Most definitely. Anything can happen. You can get wet, you can get dirty, you can, have car breakdown and have to change a tire alongside the road and need to change clothes afterwards. So keeping a change of clothes in the trunk of the car for the primary driver is not a big deal. We swap cars on weekends. She works within 10 miles of the house and doesn't travel very often. So I have a change of clothes in the trunk of each car. Also in the trunk of each car are at least 2 blankets. Most of them have 3. There are 2 wool blankets, and there is a fleece blanket in both cars. That way the kids have got blankets that don't itch them if they're worried about it. We've got 2 small children. This is 65% new wool and 35% reprocessed wool. So it's still 100% wool, just some of it's reclaimed. This one, the tag's worn off, I can't tell, but it's actually a little older. I'm sure that it's probably at least the same, if not better. U.S. Army wool blankets. The only thing better than a U.S. Army wool blanket, in my opinion, is an Italian wool blanket. I have 2 of them as well. They stink of mothballs, so they're waiting to get cleaned before they go in the trunks of the cars to replace these. We come to this bag. This bag is small, light, can be carried by even the kids at this point, but it has the most important things for bad things happening in the car. Another pair of gloves. These are wool glove liners, so you can use them around a fire without them burning. One of the most important things that will help you stay in the car, this is a candle lantern. These are great. They're very inexpensive. You can adjust the height of the candle in them, or you can adjust the candle in them here. You can put more candles in. I've got extra candles for them. But what these give you is a heat source when the car breaks down. They collapse. They've got a nice glass protective windscreen in them. They're great little lanterns. Then there is a multi-tool in each car. Whistle. This is, those cheesy whistle, compass, magnifying glass, the everything in one things. Yes, they're cheesy, but you know what? They work. They're good to have in emergency. It's got a little flashlight, it's got a compass, it's got a thermometer, it's got a whistle, it's got a lanyard. Small package, a lot of little things there. There's also a headlamp. Great to have a headlamp when you're changing a tire at night. There's a couple of chem lights. The chemical light sticks, you snap them, they light up. If you're broken down alongside the road and need to mark the car, that's great to have. I've got a flat roll of paracord. I think there's probably 25 feet there or so. It's just on a piece of plastic that I trimmed down to make into a little card to wrap on. 2 Bic lighters. One's not enough. And then there's just a pen there. And then we get into the main compartment of the bag. And this package is a British Basha tarp. It's in like a desert camo. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to do a video with a bunch of different tarp shelters and shelter designs using different surplus type stuff. And it's got a stack of tent pegs. So if you had to leave, you've got the fixings for a basic shelter right there ready to go. All in one zippered pouch that fits just fine in the bag. It's a $5 stainless steel Walmart bottle. I'm putting these things in the trunk of the car. I'm not carrying them every day. I'm not using them all the time. So I'm not going to spend $30 on a bottle just to sit there. So instead, I spend $5 on a painted stainless steel bottle. They say stainless steel on when you buy them. You throw the thing in the fire, burn all the paint off of it. Make sure you keep the lid off. If you want to put a bail on it, there's a real easy way. It'll cost you about 40 cents to put a bail on these with nothing but a pair of hammer and a screwdriver for tools. Real easy to do. Extra candles. These are just tea light candles. Thought there were a couple in here, maybe just one. Let's see what else I've got. Dig everything out here towards the top so I can see it. So it's not cold outside, and you still want some kind of light in the car. This one may need batteries replaced. It's been in here quite a while. And I'll talk about batteries and spares and things like that here in a little bit too. This is a pretty simple LED lantern. They're only $4 or $5 also. There's some corrosion in this one though, so it may have to get replaced. But I've got, 3 other sources of light at that point. This is just a nicety. Here I have just an Air Force survival knife. Great knife to have. Good knife. I used to carry one of these in uniform all the time on my gear. This one was actually my wife's because she used to be in the military as well, and it now lives in this bag. It's a good heavy blade. It's got a good pommel in that you can drive stakes if you need to, but I'm not going to stop there. I want a little bit more. I'll show you that as well. That's a great thing about these bags. This is a camelback, small camelback hiking pack, like a day pack. So there's my second knife, and then this is an interesting thing I'll talk about in a second after I show you this. On the back of the pack is the hydration bladder pocket. I don't carry hydration bladders because they're hard to clean. So instead I've got, this is a drywall axe, drywall hammer. It gives me a chopping blade, not amazing, but it's a good chopping blade to start with, and it gives me a hammer pull. So I can use that to affect shelter, affect fire, collect wood, drive stakes, whatever I need to do. I've got a great tool there. In both cars and both bags, and then in one other place, I keep a handheld talk about radio. This bag, for whatever reason, unless I'm just missing it, does not have spare batteries. I know the one in the other car does, and the other bag that I will show you here in just a second does as well. What this radio gives you, though, runs off AA batteries. I've taken the rechargeables out and replaced them with AA's, 4 AA batteries. Gives you a second form of communication, so you get into a bad situation, you lose cell phone signal, you can turn this on. It's in the trunk of the car, and we all each have one. They're all set on the same channel. It also has a weather radio that you can turn on. So if you're stuck somewhere and you want to know what the weather's going to be, you can turn this on, listen to the weather radio if your radio doesn't work in the car, especially in inclement weather, ice storms, severe blizzards, things like that. So it's just a peace of mind to have this and an extra communication point. So that's in that bag. You've seen everything in this bag. There are 2 bags. Like I said, there's one in the other car identical to that, but it has spare batteries. Just a second. This bag goes with me everywhere. I throw this in the car when I switch cars, and I carry it everywhere I go. It gets lovingly referred to as my man purse. It's a Maxpedition, I don't even remember now which model it is. It's one of the biggest in the Fat Boy series, or in the single sling series. In it is that brown wind shirt. Another one of the Motorola Talk About radios. Same as the one that was in there. And then up here, I have a whole set of spare batteries, AA's, and CR123As in a Maxpedition battery pouch, and 32 ounces of water. That's the basic outside of this. I've got a small Inova flashlight. They're great little lights, pretty inexpensive, easy to carry. Anybody can haul those around. And then I carry 3 because I do use it shopping and stuff, for the little collapsible, fold-out, reusable grocery bags. So this, like I said, it goes with me everywhere. It's a daily carry bag for me. Top pocket has nothing but my keys, house keys, work keys, things like that, and another LED headlamp. They come in handy all the time. Then on my keyring, just so you know, there's also a knife sharpener. Can't tell you how many times I've dulled a knife doing stupid stuff and just give it a quick sharpen. The main compartments of this bag, I have a nice big flashlight with a strobing cap on it, pens, markers, spare keys for the car, Advil, ibuprofen, another one of those neat little all-in-one inexpensive kits. It's got a magnifying glass, a compass, a level, a signal mirror, thermometer, barometer, whistle, small ferro rod, and small striker. The ferro rod on this thing's about worthless. It's the size of the head of like a 0.7 millimeter pencil. So, but it lives in there. It gets carried around, and I've got some tools there if I need them. Then in the main compartment here, I keep this kit, which I will go through briefly. And then the rest of it is pretty much just normal everyday carry stuff. Notebook, checkbook, magazine, another notebook. I'm supposed to check my blood pressure daily, so my blood pressure cuff's in there. I mean, just a lot of randomness inside the bag. This little kit here, again, multi-tool and everything. Space blanket. This was a gift card case from my wife this year. It's from some makeup place, but the mirror in it was awesome. Kept it as a signal mirror. Some paracord. And then this kit right here is pretty simple and pretty great. It's got a Gerber snap nap, or Gerber blind horse knife snap nap, a button compass, a ferro mag bar, and then it's on a steel cable that has been covered in black paracord. And what this gives you, with slipping it over like that, is a snare. And I've got 2 of these that I keep in this bag. They're very inexpensive, very easy to carry around. A Frontier water filter, that I was looking for earlier, cotton balls, travel size Vaseline, some more chem lights, some bank line, and more spare batteries. And then a large Fresnel lens. Found these actually at a sewing shop, so they were very, very inexpensive, so I grabbed one for every wallet and keep a bigger one in here. So, I mean, that thing's pretty sizable. And it just takes up the bottom of this and lays flat. So this goes with me everywhere in conjunction with those. So you asked about kits, you asked why we didn't have anything. It's because we weren't allowed. You can see that I carry a pretty large complement of things that I would recommend everybody to kind of haul around with them. So that's my quick review. Like I said, the scenario was great. We learned a ton. I recommend everybody pack some kind of kit and keep it in the car. Go beyond the 5 C's and think about the weather for the time of year. And if you've got to repack that kit for a different time of year, then repack that kit for that different time of year. Carry what you need and hope you don't need it. Alright, so the camera died upstairs, no big deal. Just to finish up, I just want to say thanks for watching. I know it's a long video. Please post your comments. If you've got any questions for me, any specific comments, feel free to post those. I'll try and respond as I can. Anything you've got to say that's worth saying, go ahead and put out there. Thanks a lot again, and thanks for watching.